Robin, how was Oklahoma? Last time I saw you, you were at a casino.
So Gaston and Anthony, our protocol is basically to have first and last names. So could you change your screen names to first and last name? Thanks.
Okay, Dwayne, we are live whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Robin, you're muted.
Let's try this again. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 23rd meeting of the Advisory Committee for the Workforce Education Course Manual. I'm happy that everybody is here this morning. And Dwayne, it looks like we do have a quorum, correct?
Yes, we do.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'd like to introduce Dr. Tina Jackson, who will give the welcome and opening remarks of this meeting. Dr. Jackson is the Assistant Commissioner for Workforce Education at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and she's our fearless leader when it comes to workforce education. So I'm turning it over to you, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you, Dr. Garrett. So good to see all of your lovely faces. Glad to be here with you all. Welcome to our new members. I see several of you, and welcome. We're glad to have you all with us. I have a PowerPoint slide. It's very short and sweet and to the point. While that's getting put up, I'll just say to you all how excited we are to work with you all. And really, there's been a lot going on, as you all are aware of, with all of the transitions back into the office. So hopefully throughout the summer months, you all will be connecting with us, and we can all begin to have more conversations about how to move forward together. Excited to share about our vision with the Workforce Education Division here at the Coordinating Board. And as you can see by our statement here, our focus is really about supporting high value, industry endorsed credential pathways that are responsive to the changing labor market needs. We're strategically working with our colleagues at the Texas Workforce Commission and TEA, and just so proud to be engaged in doing this work statewide. Next slide, please. So under my division, under Workforce Education, we have lots of things that we're working on. And as you can see here on the private post-secondary institution side of the house, we're doing a lot of great work. And then also on the career and technical education side of the house. And so as we move forward together, colleagues, we really want to ensure that you all are aware of the work that we're engaged in statewide and the different ways that that work plays out day to day. And so with that in mind, I just wanted to share, especially for our new colleagues who are joining the board, what that work looks like. Next slide. We also connect with our tri-agency work. And this is really important work for us, because we know that we have to be intentional about connecting the dots, especially in such a great large state. The work is important, the work is strategic, and it is all about how to connect to the other goals that we're seeing with Texas Workforce Commission and with TEA. With that in mind, we have focused a lot on articulation agreements that are regional. We focused a lot, as some of our colleagues will share today, about the work of our cybersecurity pathways. We're focusing to make sure that as we move forward together, we are linking up our coursework so that it really is about stackable credentials that lead to pathways for students who may come to us and say that they only want to come and get a level 1 or 2 certification, but then in the future may want to come back to get that associate's degree, to get that bachelor's degree and beyond. Next slide. So some national trends that I wanted to share with you all. I'm sure that you all are aware of this, and a lot of the things that we're reading and a lot of the national findings, we're seeing that shorter programs really do matter right now in the season that we're in. We're embracing credentials because we realize that to get people back to work, our unemployed or underemployed colleagues and Texans across the state really need to embrace credentials. So we're also supporting competency-based education, which is another great fast track to this work. We're developing more and more online opportunities for students. We know this, colleagues, we're all engaged in this work. We're really looking at ways to embed industry recognized credentials and the importance of that. There's so many parallels with connecting up our industry partners to our work. So we're doing that in strategic ways, and I'm seeing it played out in all of the meetings that I've been privy to. Another thing that's really important for us and moving forward is to really pay attention to how labor market trends are changing. And as we know, innovation is happening at a rapid pace. Next slide. So with that in mind, I wanted to share this slide that I received from colleagues from Burning Glass. And so what is important about this slide is the importance of understanding that things are changing so rapidly that we must continue to re-engage, to talk about innovation, to talk about moving forward collectively to co-create with industry partners. And so this slide really is an example of the importance of taking all this into consideration as you, as an institution, and as we as a state talk about the importance of the new foundational skills that our students will need to be successful in the market that we're currently in. Next slide. Some current bills that I just wanted to highlight that I think are important for our work, and these are federal bills. I would just say that for the most part, as we move forward, and we definitely have had an active legislative session, we're still also watching what's happening nationally. And so with these three bills in mind, I would say what I'd want to share is that it's so important that as we move forward, we think about how federal bills will impact our work. And so these are three of those examples. The first one really focusing in on high quality short programs that result in industry-based credentials, something that of course we are all very interested in here at the coordinating board. The second one is really focused in on the partnerships with industries, another piece that is extremely important for us at the agency. And then third, last but not least, the importance of data and how we gather it and how we connect the dots and have transparency so that we're able to make sure that as we work collectively at the higher education level, we're also connecting with our K-12 partners. Next slide. And then finally, I just wanted to share, I know all of you are aware of the TRUE initiative, Senate Bill 1102 that passed and was signed on June 14th by the governor. We're excited about this work. We have not rolled out how it will be, how we will connect the dots and how we will play a role in doing TRUE. But what I would share with you is what it is. And so this is really all about establishing and creating opportunities for students statewide to be engaged in upskilling and reskilling. And so we are going to be actively engaged in the TRUE initiative. Definitely more to come on this. This is all about the expansion of workforce training programs leading to post-secondary workforce credentials and industry certifications in the high demand occupations. This is the trend. This is where we're headed. This is about connecting up grants to lower division institutions and making sure that throughout the process, our students win because they have the opportunities to really have stackable credentials. Next slide. And then we as an agency are required to identify new high demand credentials that are needed in the field. We're also responsible for collecting data concerning these credentials. And then we also will need to make recommendations to the legislator about changes in the formula funding for state appropriations. And so there's more to come on this with credentialing, but I definitely just wanted to highlight that this is something that is on our radar. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to my colleague, Dr. Garrett. You're on mute.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. I must have hit the wrong area there.
It's okay.
The information you provided is a very, very uplifting and important to all of us. I mean, we all of the community colleges have worked hard over the years to stress the importance of level 1, level 2, and industry certifications, and the support of the coordinating board and seeing the national trends going that direction is wonderful news for all of us. So thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. I'd like, as Dr. Jackson mentioned, we do have some new people joining us. So I'd like to have everybody introduce themselves. And I'm going to go, I know everybody sees everybody differently on the screen, but I'm going to go in the order that I see everyone on the screen and call your name if that's okay with you. And I'll just start with myself. I'm Robin Garrett. I'm the Deputy Chancellor of Academic and Student Success here at Central Texas College. And I'm currently chairing this committee until August, when the Vice Chair will then take over. Let's see, next on mine is Leslie Olson.
Hi, I'm Leslie Olson. I'm the Director of Perkins Grants and a Professor of Criminal Justice at Temple College, and have a Perkins Leadership Grant that I manage.
Thank you, Leslie. Joe?
Good morning, folks. My name is Joe Arrington. I serve at McClendon Community College as the Division Chair for Human Services and Education Programs.
Thank you. Rhonda?
Good morning. I'm Rhonda Dozier. I'm with Texarkana College. Serve as a faculty member, former dean, and former director of enrollment services.
Thank you. Catherine?
Good morning. I'm Catherine O'Brien, and I'm the consultant on the Perkins grant that Leslie mentioned. That's renovating and restructuring WECM.
Thank you. Cindy Griffith?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cindy Griffith, and I serve as the Vice President of Instruction with Alvin Community College.
Thank you. Gretchen?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gretchen Reel. I'm the Associate Vice President for Workforce Education for Olson Community College.
Thank you, Gretchen. Philip?
Good morning, everyone. Phil Nicotera, Houston Community College, President of Coleman College there.
Greg.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gregory Newman. I'm the Associate Dean of Coleman College, and I have oversight of information technology and computer science programs.
Thank you. Terry?
Good morning. My name is Terry Nix, and I have a new role. I stepped down from being Dean of CTE to Business Chair and Perkins Director.
Thank you, Terry. Welcome. Welcome aboard. Welcome back. Dwayne?
I'm Dwayne Shaw. I'm the Dean of Public Services and Industrial Technologies at Kilgore College.
Thank you. Andrew?
Andrew Gregory. I'm a faculty member at in the Business and Computer Technologies Department at College of the Mainland.
Rob?
Yes, ma'am. Rob Blair, Dean of Technical Education, South Plains College.
James?
James Chigwood, an Associate Professor of Computer Science and Department Chair at Tarrant County College Southeast Campus.
Thanks, James. Gaston?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Gaston White. I'm the Coordinator of Articulation and Transfer Services at Tarrant County College.
Tom?
Good morning, I'm Dr. Tom Cox. I'm the chair of the Languages Program at San Antonio College, and the Workforce Program is the American Sign Language Interpreter Training Program, and I'm also interim chair for court reporting.
Mindy? You're muted.
I am Mindy Nobles, who was formerly muted. I am Assistant Director, Career and Technical Education at the Higher Education Coordinating Board. Glad to be with you all this morning.
Thanks, Mindy. Dwayne Hiller.
There we go. Yeah, Dwayne Hiller, Manager 2 here at the Higher Education Coordinating Board under Workforce Education. And I work with WECM and Perkins and all things workforce education.
Very good. We all know Dwayne. Valerie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Valerie. I am an administrative assistant for workforce education. And glad you're all here.
Thank you, Valerie. She's the one that puts us all together and keeps us straight. Thanks, Valerie. Dixon.
Well, good morning to all. Dixon Bailey, Executive Vice President of Ranger College. I think I do everything up to and including plunging toilets.
I think there's a few others that I've heard do that also. Definitely. We all have multiple hats. Mary.
Good morning. I'm Mary Adams, Director of Curriculum at Texas State Technical College.
So are you going to be with Dr. Jackson?
Well, no, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoyed her presentation, so I'm excited about all the news.
Wonderful. Okay, Stephanie.
Good morning, everyone. Stephanie Perkins. I'm a Manager 2 under Workforce Education at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, mainly working under the Perkins programs and other workforce education matters.
Thank you. Olga.
Olga Valerio, El Paso Community College. I'm the Dean to the Advanced Technology Center. I oversee all the correct technical training. And thank you to everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. Kyla.
I'm Kyla Torrey. I'm the Program Director in Digital Learning at the Coordinating Board. I'll be telling you more about what we do later.
Thank you. Let's see, who do I, Sherry.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sherry Ranis. I'm with the Workforce Education Division and work in Perkins, but I'm also project lead for our reskilling efforts currently, which we'll also talk about more in a minute.
And then Christina.
Christina Bergvall, College of the Mainland. I'm the Director of Program Development, and I am the Texas Administrators of Continuing Education, also known as TACE President, and the TACE Healthcare Committee Chair.
Thank you, Christina. Did I miss anyone? Very good. Thank you all very much. Dwayne Hiller, do you have any housekeeping that you need to mention to the team?
Sure. Just a second. Okay, I just wanted to remind everybody that this meeting is being broadcast and recorded. Chat has been disabled as per open meetings requirements. We ask that you please keep your mics muted when you are not speaking in order to prevent stray noises from interfering with the speaker. Remember to unmute and try to keep background noise to a minimum when you are speaking. And we will be using gallery view to make sure that there is a quorum present at all times. Keep your cameras on at all times so we can verify that everyone is present. And this is a requirement of the Open Meetings Act. We will take voice votes unless there is any uncertainty, in which case we will need to take a roll call vote. Please use the raise your hand feature if you need to speak and wait to be identified by the chair. And be sure to identify yourself when you are speaking. And as a reminder, the advisory committee is serving a statewide purpose, and we're not here to represent a particular institution or group of institutions, although our hope is that the actions we take will benefit all institutions. And I will now return it to Dr. Garrett.
Thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate the reminders. Do we have any public testimony on the agenda items scheduled or from the public? Hearing none, we'll move.
Sorry, no, we don't.
Oh, go ahead. No, thank you. We will move on to the coordinating board update. Dr. Nobles, do you head this up?
I'll be happy to. I will point out that we still need to do the consideration and approval of minutes, Dr. Garrett. And you're muted, Dr. Garrett.
I'm sorry, I skipped over that. Let's go back if it's okay with you and review the minutes, and I'll open the floor for any comments, and then if we have a recommendation.
If there are no comments, I move we approve the minutes.
Thank you, Dixon.
This is Mary Adams. I second.
Thank you, Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, now on to Dr. Nobles for the coordinating board update. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's Ms. Nobles, preferably Mindy at all times. I want to warn you that distracting noises may include a barking dog next door. I apologize if you have to listen to that. We do live in the Zoom age. I'm going to run through quickly the 87th legislation that the 87th legislature bills that were the Workforce Education Division followed. It will update you on bills that the Workforce Education Division followed that passed and were among the 1,000+ bills signed by the governor. Could we have the slideshow, Valerie? Valerie, we don't have the slideshow.
Getting that right now.
Okay, thank you. As she gets that up, let me just tell you, FYI, the governor signed 1,000+ bills. An additional 105 bills were filed without the governor's signature and will become state law. The governor vetoed 20 bills, none of which were tracked by Workforce Education or, to my knowledge, the coordinating board. And next slide, please. I'll run through these quickly and give you the high points of each one. HB 700 requires that youth transitioning from foster care and completing the Department of Family and Protective Services preparation for adult living program will receive college credit for that program. The coordinating board and the department are to work together to develop a plan to ensure that. That will, as all these bills will, have some impact on colleges, two-year colleges in the state. The next bill, HB 3348, I'm sure you're all familiar with this one. It allows community colleges to offer up to 5 applied baccalaureate degrees rather than the 3 that most colleges could previously offer. Next slide. And similarly, or relatedly, HB 885 allows college to apply for approval to offer an applied baccalaureate in nursing with a taxable valuation of $4 billion rather than the statutory threshold of $6 billion. Next slide, please. And then HB 1247. It requires the coordinating board, Texas Education Agency, and the Texas Workforce Commission to develop a strategic framework to encourage work-based learning and report it to the legislature. The report to the legislature must identify federal funding sources that may be used to support workforce education and recommendations for use of those funds. The agencies are also required to implement those recommendations as quickly as possible. And next slide, please. Okay. Next, and this is rather a significant bill, HB 3767 encodes the governor's tri-agency workforce initiative into law and requires that the coordinating board, TEA, and TWC enter into interagency agreements to share data and coordinate resources. The three agencies must jointly develop statewide workforce development goals and strategies, must update them on a 4-year cycle, and must maintain a list of career pathways for current and emerging workforce needs. Next slide, please. HB 3767 further requires the coordinating board to develop a strategy for operating a unified workforce data repository and with TEA to publish outcomes data for secondary and post-secondary CTE programs. Next slide, please. Next, HB 4361 allows colleges to enter into training agreements with employers for students at the college to be conducted at a site requested by the employer, and to do so without approval of one of the HERCs, Higher Education Regional Councils. Next slide, please. And this is one with some financial impact as yet to be fully determined. SB 959 adds workforce continuing education courses to the calculation of a college's success-based funding, provided the course is not already offered toward a certificate or applied associate, and the course prepares students for high-demand occupations or teaches skills toward workforce credentials attainment. Next slide, please. And Dr. Jackson has already discussed this one. This is another one that will have major impact. SB 1102 establishes the Texas TRUE Initiative, Texas Reskilling and Upskilling Through Education, to support workforce education. It will support creation and expansion of CTE programs leading to workforce credentials and industry certifications through grants to two-year colleges and consortia, as described in the second bullet on this slide. Next slide, please. SB 1102 also requires the coordinating board to identify high-demand credentials, establish data collection and reporting for those credentials, and recommends formula funding changes, and to recommend formula funding changes reflecting colleges' establishment of those credentials. In HB 2, the supplemental appropriations bill requires that the coordinating board use federal coronavirus funding to implement the TRUE Initiative. And end slideshow. Thank you. So those are bills we followed that passed that are going to have an impact on two-year colleges beginning with the coming academic year. In the interest of time, I'll ask you to defer questions. We'll be happy to answer any follow-up questions you may have if you want to pose them by email subsequently. Now I will introduce Stephanie Perkins, who will give the Perkins update to this group.
Good morning. I just have a few matters to discuss with you all this morning about Perkins. So the Perkins Basic RFA has been released. Colleges can submit a revised CLNA in FY22, but it's not mandatory. Perkins Basic applications are due in mid-July. Perkins Basic orientation was held June 10th. We had 136 representatives from community colleges across the state attend, so we had a very good turnout. The recording of the webinar and presentation can be found on the coordinating board's Perkins page online. State Perkins leadership applications are due today by 5 p.m. in the portal, Perkins portal. And last, I would just like to briefly discuss Perkins and MOA braiding. Each year, colleges submit certifications with their Perkins Basic Grant cover page to confirm compliance with lobbying laws in relevant portions of the Federal Funds and Transparency Act. In FY22, a new certification will allow colleges to report on its compliance with federal accessibility laws that apply to public two-year colleges offering CTE programs. The new certifications is part of a new plan approved by the Department of Education for conducting civil rights oversight as required by federal regulations. Other elements of the new plan include adding accountability for the access and success of students who belong to special populations groups. The new plan was called on for jointly last year by Octay and DOE's Office of Civil Rights. So that's all I have this morning for you all in regards to Perkins.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I will point out that the certification of compliance with federal civil rights laws for accessibility, campus accessibility, is a new form to the Perkins application, with the Perkins application this year. We will be receiving those funds with institutions cover, or receiving those forms with institutions cover pages this year for the Perkins application. Let me go on to GIPWE. As part of the coordinating board update, I'm very pleased to announce that we're about to release an update to the 2015 GIPWE that will be a comprehensive updating of existing content for changes to statutes, rules, coordinating board procedures. The update has also corrected some broken links, updated content, removed some outdated content, pretty comprehensive. This will be the last interim update to the 2015 GIPWE. In the coming academic year, we will undertake a policy update, a major policy update to the GIPWE, and plan to issue a new edition of GIPWE in the coming year. But we will very shortly pass this, or post this comprehensive update to the 2015 GIPWE. We'll be announcing it by email after it's posted, so look for that email. I'll go on to the SB 64 Cybersecurity Pathway Work Group. This work group comes as the result of a recommendation in the report that the coordinating board submitted to the legislature as a requirement of SB 64, which was passed to incentivize the creation of cybersecurity programs at institutions of higher education to meet the expanding, well, shall I say, exploding demand for cybersecurity workforce professionals in the state of Texas. The SB 64 Cybersecurity Pathway Work Group focuses on a piece of the legislation and a specific recommendation in the coordinating board's report, which I should note was prepared in collaboration with the state's Department of Information Resources. The SB 64 Cybersecurity Pathway Work Group has been working for several months on creation of something new, something innovative, a statewide secondary, post-secondary career pathway curriculum for applied associate and certificates in cybersecurity. This is going to be a high demand career pathway that a student may begin in high school. It will also be the first statewide secondary, post-secondary pathway we've created. We are required under law, federal law, to create those as a condition of our receipt of Perkins funds. This is the first of what I hope will be a number of such pathways in high demand areas. We've partnered with Texas Education Agency and the Department of Information Resources to form a highly expert group of advisors. Dr. Newman is one of those serving on that work group. And the work group should complete its work toward the end of July or the beginning of August. This pathway will be available to colleges for adoption with their constituent secondary schools. And it will hopefully set a path for numerous students to begin working toward meeting that workforce demand as we move forward. Other efforts are underway to incentivize cybersecurity programs in the states, but this is a CTE specific initiative. And next then, moving on in the update, we have a true update on the agenda, and what we will do now is defer discussion of the true initiative until the coordinating board has had a chance to discuss how to operationalize this program. Instead, Dr. Sherry Rannis will give an update on the reskilling program. So Sherry, I will turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Valerie, can you put up our slide if you have it? If you don't, there we go. Here she goes. Thanks, everyone. This is just a brief summary of where we are with the Texas Reskilling Support Grant Fund Program, which was launched last fall and which was really operationalized in the field by grantees starting in January of this year and again in March. We had 2 rounds of grant competition for this particular effort, which is has a main goal of trying to support as many as 30,000 students in their efforts to reskill and upskill in high-value post-secondary credential programs. The number of awards, as you can see from the summary table, is 65. The number of institutions, public institutions, 2-year and 4-year, and technical institutions are 62, about 2/3 of our state's public higher education institutions. And we have 5 consortia of 2-year and 4-year institutions around the state who are also participating in this effort. The sort of late breaking news or the newest developments in this particular program are that we have launched a workshop series to help support capacity building around reskilling and upskilling for our grantees. First workshop was held yesterday. The topic was adult learner outreach and engagement. Dr. Newman, one of our favorites, was also a member of one of the panels that presented at the workshop yesterday. We had over 100 participants. This workshop series will continue through the period of this grant, which will end next spring 22, with a variety of different kinds of targeted looks at best practices from the field by the field. And one of our next stops, our next in sort of topic double downs, will be around marketing, which will be, we're hoping to hold a workshop on that at the end of July. Marketing is sometimes very easy for institutions that have the capacity, not so much for those who don't. And targeting students who are eligible for this particular program is a challenge that we understand. And so marketing is going to be, I think, and is a significant element in trying to get dollars out the door. Speaking of dollars out the door, as I said, we've just finished the first semester that institutions, traditional semester that is, a number of institutions have less traditional time periods, but semesters and terms that started in January 21. And in light of the results that we're hearing and the voices we're hearing from grantees, about the program. We are going to be issuing modifications to the program in relatively short order in the next couple of weeks, which we hope will help facilitate getting dollars out the doors to students who are in the reskilling and upskilling mode. Very excited about that, so stay tuned. We're not in a position right now to talk about it in detail, but as I said, the details will be released very shortly. And I think that basically sums up my update on the reskilling efforts here at the THECB. Thanks.
Thank you, Sherry. And last but never least, I will introduce Dr. Kyla Torrey, who will give you an update on our digital learning division's activities with some focus on the Open Educational Resources Initiative. Kyla?
Good morning, everybody. Let's pull up my slides here. Okay, so hi again, I'm Kyla. I'm Program Director in Digital Learning. Digital Learning is a new division at the Coordinating Board. We were established in November of last year, so just really getting started, but we took over some of the OER, Open Educational Resource Initiatives at the agency, and we're working on some new things as well, which I'll get into. I want to just briefly mention our mission. The mission of the Division of Digital Learning is to provide leadership and advocacy for digital learning in higher education and promote, sustain, and advance a quality digital learner experience, positioning Texas as a world leader and resulting in globally competitive, digitally proficient citizens. We're a relatively small division at this point. Dr. Michelle Singh is our Assistant Commissioner who started in November of last year. I am the Program Director. Marianne Maddox is our Program Specialist for the Digital Learning Clearinghouse, which I'll talk about in a moment. And Liz Tolman is our Program Specialist for Open Educational Resources. And then Amy Zandy is our fierce Executive Assistant who keeps us online. We have basically three goals for the Division of Digital Learning, which are to build awareness of capacity for and then recognize digital excellence in the state. So all of our projects feed into those three goals in the hopes of sort of elevating the level of digital excellence, but also recognizing that there's decades worth of good work being done around digital learning in this state and hoping to scale that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're working on now and then some of our future initiatives. As I said, we absorbed the OER work at the agency. So we have OER course grants both at the state funded level and at the GEAR or federally funded level. And those are grants that incentivize faculty to redesign their courses using OER materials, open materials. So the courses that are redesigned should be free to students. All textbook costs, educational material costs are free at the end of the grant. And we encourage collaboration among institutions for this grant so that we can sort of scale the amount of OER that's being used across the state with a focus on high transfer Texas core curriculum courses, workforce courses, and then co-requisite courses as well. For the GEAR funded OER course grants, we're working with some technical assistance partners who are helping the grantees in their process of redesigning these courses. So we're working with OpenStax out of Rice University, the Charles A. Dana Center out of the University of Texas at Austin, and then Dallas College. And they are all sort of experts in this field and are aiding our grantees in their projects as they move along. We also have the OER Text Repository, which is a statewide repository of open educational resources for higher education. That launched in September of last year. I think I mentioned it in our last meeting. And it started with a focus again on the high transfer core curriculum courses and workforce courses and things, and we're rapidly expanding the number of resources that are in there as our grantees deposit what they are working on and as institutions start to partner with us. The repository is not only a sort of a library of resources, but also a site where institutions or faculty can collaborate to create resources, can create collections that are specific to a particular institution or project, and can talk to each other about the work that they're doing in OER. We're in the midst of a partnership with ISKME, which is the Institute for the Study of Knowledge Management and Education. They're the creators of OER Commons, and they are the vendor who built the OER Text Repository for us. They're also partnering with us on an OER Core Elements Academy, which is a foundational academy, a series of webinars on the core elements of OER. So how do you find OER? How do you curate OER? How do you author OER? What are open licenses? All of that. We had about twice as many people as we expected sign up for this in the first 24 hours. So there's been a lot of interest, which is great. And we are planning on additional academies, which I'll talk about in a minute. This academy ends at the end of June, and then in the fall, we should start some new ones. We're currently working with ISKME as well on an OER landscape survey. Some of you may know that we did the first iteration of this survey in 2019. We did a second survey this past year, and the results will be released later this year. And it will be interesting to see throughout the pandemic and the switch to remote learning if and how OER work has changed in the state. We are also now staffing the Learning Technology Advisory Committee of the coordinating board. So we work with them on a number of initiatives, one of which is a digital learning landscape survey. So results from that survey, which were also done last year, should be coming out soon. And it looks at digital learning a bit more broadly across the state. And then on the horizon, we have quite a few projects. We're looking towards grants for more capacity building at institutions in the realm of OER and digital learning more broadly. So there is a grant program in the future that I would recommend keeping an eye out for that is focused on capacity building in institutions for those two tracks. We'll be having additional OER academies, probably another sort of foundational academy, and then we'll also be trying to offer intermediate and more advanced academies in the future. We are planning with OpenStax what we're calling OER Text Fest, which is kind of a creator fest or hackathon where we will workshop OER projects and sort of network across the state the different OER projects that are going on. And then our really big project for the time being is to build a digital learning clearinghouse that we're calling DL Text, which will be sort of a one-stop shop for digital learning resources, but also community building, you know, a place to go and look for regulatory information, but also a place to go and collaborate and learn about best practices at other institutions, learn about how students are succeeding in digital learning across the state. And it should be a very interesting project and also a large project, and that is funded with GEAR funds. And so it will be rolling out in the next year and a half or so. But that is our big project for the time being, is to work on the digital learning clearinghouse. I wanted to give you the OER Text Repository URL. So please go take a look, see if there are any resources that interest you. If your institution is interested in perhaps creating a hub or a group on that site, you can contact me, and that is my email address there. Yes, and then that's all from me. I'm happy to take questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you, Kyla. And thank you everybody who contributed to the coordinating board update. We have a couple of minutes if you have any questions that you think may be of public interest, let's go ahead and entertain them. Any questions? Okay. If you have any and want to follow up with anyone who gave one of the update segments, please feel free to do so. And I'm sorry, did I hear someone about to speak?
Mindy, it's Dixon Bailey. Just quick.
Yes, sir.
This could be something you can say, well, you can cover it in an email. But HB 3767 that talked about the agencies sharing data, will that drill down as far as to like skills development fund data, UI data that they'll be able to share, or has anybody talked to them? I mean, there's been a need for years for, companies kind of get a little queasy about providing Social Security data. And we always say, you're sending your information to the people that have the information. And if you're up on your UI data, then they have that information. And if they could share that information in an interagency agreement in Austin, then that would really help us on our end when we work with business and industry. Is anybody talking to anybody that's crafting this, that may be a need?
That's input you could give, Dixon. If you would like to email me, I will pass it along to those who may be doing the planning. It's too early to speak to the shape the data will take and its specific content. Workforce education will not be involved in that data sharing arrangement or the specifics of what will be shared. I will tell you, of course, that no personally identifying information of any sort would ever be shared. Generically, anything relevant to workforce outcomes, workforce needs that can be compiled and disseminated publicly would probably be within the framework of that sharing.
Okay, I'll send you an email. Thanks, Mindy.
Thank you, Dixon. Anyone else? Okay, then, Robin, I give you the floor, and thank you again, everyone who contributed to the update.
Yes, thank you to the coordinating board for that very comprehensive update. As you can tell by the lack of questions, we received a lot of good information, so we always appreciate the input. So thank you to everyone, as Mindy said. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 5, professional organization updates. Leslie, can you address TACTI?
TACTI, the TACTI board met the other day, and so as we finally kind of see the end of COVID and start coming out of it, we are very excited and hope you will mark your calendars for April 6th through the 8th of 2022. That does seem a little weird to say 2022. And our theme this year is very Texan and very appropriate. We will be back in the saddle. So I look forward to seeing y'all there, and the conference planning committee and others will start to send you reminders. And of course, you can always watch the TACTI website for updates.
Thank you, Leslie. I love that, back in the saddle. I feel like we're all back in the saddle right now, the way we're moving forward, and that'll be a great conference. So appreciate that, and appreciate the team that puts it together. Sounds like it'll be a fun one. Christina, TACE.
Hi, we actually are meeting this afternoon. As soon as this meeting is over, or the TACE board will be meeting this afternoon, and then we'll have our conference planning tomorrow. I will let everyone know that as the president, one of the things that I have on the agenda for the board meeting is to discuss how TACE can assist or what role, maybe defining our role in the whole pathways concept. And I know that there's sort of like the guided pathways, which is a national movement, but what we can do at the state level, and it's easier to, or not easier, but it's I think more efficient to have some sort of like core standardizations and within our group, so as we meet, I would like to define that a little bit further and include in our conference in April the concepts of guided pathways and how CE can truly feed into credit and then have that loop back for continuing education. So that's what's on the agenda, that's what's on the radar. We had a very successful virtual conference, and appreciate the support from the co-board and the WECM committee, and of course Dwayne, who is always a presenter at our conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. What you said is so timely about continuing education feeding into pathways. It was a discussion with our coach, our Texas Pathways coach, and they're really looking into that as a pathway. So you may want to reach out to Texas Pathways to see if they can give a presentation during the conference, or see what else they can contribute, because that definitely is a student pathway from continuing ed through credit.
We'll note that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Gaston Tacro.
Hello, everybody. I'm Gaston White. I just have a couple of TACRO meeting announcements to share. And if there are any updates that come out of these meetings that are applicable to this committee, I'll be sure to share those updates with you all in the future. So the first announcement is TACRO's 2021 summer meeting will be held online July 13th and 14th. Also, TACRO's annual conference will be held in Lubbock, Texas on November 7th through the 10th. Registration for both meetings is now open for the in-person annual conference as well as the online summer meeting. More information about both events can be found on TACRO's website, which is just tacro.org. Again, thank you for inviting me to these meetings and giving me the opportunity to support the work that you all are doing.
Thank you, Gaston, and please thank the members of TACRO, the board, for your support.
Absolutely. I was hoping that you all could hear me. My screen kind of went dark.
Oh, we heard you great.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Agenda item number 6, discussion and possible action on recommendations made by the WECM Renovation Project Steering Committee. Leslie?
Dr. Garrett, I feel it might be time for just a quick review for those that are new or listening online that have not heard about this project. So I'm just going to take a few minutes. I got a brainstorm last summer when I first kind of started helping out, and I wrote a grant and received approval from the coordinating board for a grant titled WECM Renovation, Restructure, Repairing, and Rebuilding Our WECM Foundation. It was designed as a 2-year grant, so we are at the end of year 1, and through a lot of work with a steering committee and of course this committee, we've kind of put together a restructuring of workshops so that we can address and kind of update curriculum as needed. So at this point, I would like to hand the baton over to Dr. Catherine O'Brien, who is the consultant on this grant and has done just a huge amount of work when it comes to assessing the database and seeing courses and then helping find the data and evaluate the data as far as what's a priority. And of course, always keeping in conjunction with what are the protocols and what are this committee and the coordinating board, not wanting to change any of those structures that are set in place, just work to kind of renovate what is a great foundation and a great house. So Dr. O'Brien, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Catherine O'Brien. I'm the consultant on this grant with Leslie. As she told you, it's the WECM Renovation, Restructuring, Repairing, and Rebuilding Our WECM Foundation. So far, we have developed training materials. We developed a facilitator in training PowerPoint, and we have put 2 facilitators through the training workshop. And we have developed a facilitator refresher, and we have had, including myself, 5 facilitators right now. There is an instructional specialist orientation that is given to the instructional specialist at the beginning of a workshop. And then we developed a data specialist training PowerPoint. We've also developed some short-term modules for local needs special topic, for how to write end of course outcomes, and then for all of the kind of the background information on WECM that we call WECM acronyms. The local need special topic training, we did something with the last workshop that was a little bit different. We sent out to the instructional specialists all of the local needs special topic courses that they were going to review along with the training, so that they knew as they came into the workshop what they were going to need to do with local needs special topic courses. As far as our calendar goes, I think the last time I presented to you, this is kind of what the calendar looked like. But then we explained to you that we were going to move with your support and recommendation and approval. We moved clusters 3 and 12 further down, but we retained, excuse me, radio and television in cluster 3 and fire protection in cluster 12. And these were retained because of triggers. So the triggers, comments coming into the coordinating board that we need to hold a workshop, those were actually working now, so that we've made the connection from going to receiving information about the triggers to actually holding a workshop. So to date, we have conducted workshops for the radio, television. Here you see is cluster 3. Oh, that should be down a little. Cluster 12 was law, public, and safety, and that was fire protection. That workshop has been completed. And then within information technology, we had originally 13 workshops. I'll explain a little bit more about what we did with those. And who was my other one? Oh, the smaller workshops we are calling Model 2. And the only reason they're being identified is that because they're still going to be done with Zoom meetings the way we are doing all of the workshops. But these are ones that have anywhere from only 1 to 4 colleges that offer that program. And so these are going to be little kind of one-day workshops that we will do. If there are not enough faculty in those Model 2 to hold the workshops this summer, they will get put off until the fall when there's more faculty around. So we will be doing part of the transportation logistics workshops this summer, the smaller ones, and we've needed to push the remaining workshops to the fall semester. And then also manufacturing is a large group, and we've recommended to move it to the fall. And then health science, human services, and STEM will be in the spring. Traditionally, we used to hold the workshops in the spring, right after the spring semester finished. And so by next spring, we will be back on that kind of a schedule where we can do the workshops May, June, and very early July. The courses that have been reviewed, revised, will become available for use, I want to put it that way, as of fall, September 1st was what Wayne is shooting for, of 2021. They become available for funding September 1st of 2022. And so that will give institutions this entire year to look at the revised courses, to make changes in the catalog, to make changes in their database, their schedule of classes, whatever they need to do with those courses. And then that way they will be ready for funding the following fall. Okay, so what have we done? The radio and television group reviewed 24 courses, They revised 20 of those courses. They archived 1. Then in looking at their local needs special topic courses, they had 6 courses to review. They determined that 2 of them would be left as is, so whoever the submitting institution is can continue to use those courses as need be. They wrote a new course, and so we're balanced at this point. We've archived 1, but we wrote a new one. And then the remaining courses, the team suggested alternative WECM courses that are already available that might be used in lieu of the special topic or local need course. The nominations went out to 14 colleges that offer radio and television. Their institutions nominate the faculty to serve on the teams. We did not eliminate anybody, but we had 6 responses. We had responses from 6 different colleges, and so we had instructional specialists from those 6 institutions participate. Next, fire protection. The nominations here went to 31 institutions, and we had instructional specialists from 9 colleges participating. They reviewed 45 courses. They revised 17, no archives. When it came to the local needs special topic courses, they reviewed 42. They determined that 33 of these should be left as is, and then they wrote 2 courses, and then 6 courses were referred to other teams. That happens when a team that is meeting determines that they do not have the expertise to review these courses. 2 courses were unmanned aerial systems and unmanned aerial systems for public safety. And so it was the determination of the fire protection team to refer to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board and to you as the WECM Advisory Committee that this probably needs to be a trigger for unmanned courses to be put through a statewide workshop. Unmanned vehicles. Unmanned vehicles are starting to crop up in lots of kind of areas, fire protection being an example of that. And I think that also this was a discussion on the agenda item last fall for your committee. And you'll find it also mentioned in the minutes of your March meeting of this year. So there probably is a need. If not, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have an unmanned vehicle course with maybe an FIRT rubric, and you're going to have an unmanned vehicle course with a real estate rubric, or an unmanned vehicle course with, within an aeronautics program. So it's probably time to really take a good look at designing a workshop for unmanned vehicles so that they can have their own identity, their own rubric, and then whatever program needs to utilize or do some training with unmanned vehicles could then use whatever that rubric is. It doesn't have to be a rubric, as we all know, within their own program. So anyway, that was a recommendation that kind of bubbled up out of the firefighting team. Next one was the biggie. Dwayne sent out nominations to 102 subscribers. We had feedback and nominations from 20 institutions, and so we had 20 instructional specialists. Now, what they did when they submitted the nominations back was the faculty identified which courses they could teach. And then the staff, if you will, of this project went through, and with Dwayne's assistant, we broke out like ITSC and ITSW. These courses are often taught together. So that became Team 1. Team 2, ITSE, INEW, ITMC. Team 3, ITNW, ITMT. Team 4, ITSY, ITDF. And finally, Team 5 was IMED. So we broke out the 20 faculty across 5 teams, which gave roughly 4 instructional specialists on each team. The 10 rubrics were set up for a 2-day workshop. Some of the faculty didn't get the message by the 2nd day. So we actually had 3 teams that finished on day 1. We went back and looked at what they were qualified to teach, and sure enough, they were qualified to teach the courses that needed to carry over for Team 2. So we're very grateful for them volunteering an extra day so that we could finish out the workshop. Grand total, these 5 teams reviewed 172 WECM IT courses. They revised a total of 48 courses, and they archived 17. When it came to the local needs special topics, they reviewed a grand total of 191 courses. 108 of the courses, it was determined to leave them as is. 2 new courses were written. So we're in a win category here. Overall, we archived 18 courses and we only wrote 3. So we are slowly clearing out the somewhat 6,000, 7,000 courses that we have in WECM. They suggested 41 existing courses. So one of the things that happened is that in some of these areas, there were a lot of local needs special topics courses that had come through. However, because of like the previous Cisco workshop and the development of some new courses, the courses are now in WECM. So, you know, message to all of the institutions that submitted local needs special topics courses, Dwayne will be letting you know what the recommendations were for alternative WECM existing courses to replace the local needs special topics courses. We had another unusual kind of a category, and these were just called new courses. Dwayne provided us with a list of 28 courses where the rubrics do not exist. Okay, the colleges had written them and submitted them, and they had rubrics DATN, ITAI, ITCA, and MCOD. And so there really were no existing courses that we could, well, yes, there were. They did identify, 6 existing courses. And then they also said leave 22 as is. But then they referred 5 courses to other teams. So the recommendation is that if you submitted a local needs special topic course for the DATN rubric, you might now look to ITNW. The cybersecurity that they submitted with ITCA, there are some courses that can be used that are in ITCC or ITSY. Plus, as we just heard this morning, there's a cybersecurity pathway in the works. The MCOD stands for Mission Critical Operations, and ITAI is Artificial Intelligence. And these appear to be emerging technologies. However, only one institution has submitted courses in the Mission Critical Operations or the advanced artificial intelligence area. If there are new institutions who are considering these, they might look to using those not yet in WECM rubrics of MCOD and ITAI as they do their submissions for local need or special topic courses. And then this way they can really be spotted as these are emerging technologies, and there is more now than one institution that wants to offer them. And that is our presentation, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions for Dr. O'Brien or?
I do. I just can't find my hand raise button.
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you for your work, both Leslie and Catherine, for the IT area. That is a mess. It had been a mess for a long time. And now cleaning it up is actually a really good thing. And so I thank you and applaud you for your efforts as an IT instructor. And I'm sure there's some other people on this call that appreciate those efforts, because we were starting to see, and one of my biggest complaints, and I know Olga and some of the other ones on this committee, where we're seeing so many new things. You're finally addressing those things, telling these community colleges to get their acts together, get to more new technologies, and follow the WECM. I think that's a great thing. So thank you. I applaud you.
Thank you. Tom, I see your hand up.
Yes, I'm wondering if we might have an opportunity to do this same kind of work with the American Sign Language interpreter training courses, and I would be happy to help guide that effort.
Okay, now Tom, if your name is not on my facilitator in training list, you just got put there. So I will reach out. Tell me again which institution.
San Antonio College.
San Antonio Sachs. Okay, I will reach out to you. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge Joe Arrington, Rhonda Dozer, Terry Nix, Leslie, and thank them. They're the ones who served as facilitators for us this summer. And as I just, tagged Tom to say, okay, you're now a facilitator in training. If there are other members of this committee that wish to serve as facilitators, then look through the protocol. Robin, the protocol still requires that they be an administrator or higher.
Yes.
In that, I do know you have some faculty on the advisory committee. So I don't know if that's something that your committee wants to discuss and change the protocols, or keep the protocols as is, and then we only use folks who are dean level and up to serve as facilitators. So that was Christina.
Dwayne Shaw's team can take a look at that. He's responsible for the protocols now, and they can put that on their agenda to consider for the next session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Christina, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Mine was more of a technical question because I'm brainstorming about some other things again as we look at how to model or what our role is going to be and how we're going to model this pathway to feed CE into credit. And one of the things I was thinking about is bridge, a rubric for a bridge course. And I thought about having something sort of like general, but then I thought, and you kind of spoke to that when you said that there could be a general unmanned vehicle training as part of fire, or as part of police, or whatever area, or logistics, and it could be a rubric that anyone could use. My question was how would having a zip code matter, or what zip code would be used? And so again, I don't know that this is the right time or place for that question, but that's just something that I was thinking about, is to consider the zip code as part of that.
The zip codes really would not matter, Christina. So think of like a nursing AAS degree, and within nursing you have English, you have maybe math, you have biology. So any program can use courses that are found in other SIPs.
Yes, and I'll add to that. If you look at the GIPWE, it just states that the majority of the credits need to come from one program area. So I think, Dwayne, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's supposed to be 50% of the actual program itself should come from that area. So you can have other things like Catherine mentioned, the Englishes and the histories and all that, and one course in unmanned from another zip code is not going to hopefully sway that to the point where you'd be falling out of alignment there.
Yeah, and let me also go ahead and add, because this always seems to crop up. No, we absolutely must have the rubric in our area because they won't credential the faculty member. No. You look at the end of course outcomes. If the faculty member is qualified to teach those outcomes, it does not matter what the 4-letter rubric is at the front of that course. They're qualified.
That's
correct. Okay. Gretchen, I see your hand up.
Mine is more of a comment. At Austin Community College, we've done a lot of work around unmanned vehicles in the last couple of years. And we started when we built our public safety training center down in our Hayes campus. And right now I have 5 different divisions, including our arts and digital media division, that are using curriculum in that area. And so I just wanted to endorse and support moving forward with developing some courses for unmanned vehicles, because I think you're quite correct that if we don't, you'll have some in arts and you'll have some our GIS program uses, and of course our fire and police programs, and our I can't remember what else, but so I think having some centralized courses so that there's some centralized objectives that relate to industry standards is going to be very important moving forward, or it will be a mess.
Yes. And we already have a precedent for like common courses. There's that SCIT rubric, and you can find the chemistry kind of courses in a lab med, program, or you can find some of the biology kind of courses in another area. Petrochem uses, I think, some of the chemistry courses as well. So the SCIT is a perfect example of one of those common kind of courses that you draw from to put into whatever your program happens to be. So,
Dr. O'Brien?
Yes, ma'am.
We've told the WECM steering committee, but we have not shared it with this committee, that all of the evaluations have indicated that the Zoom environment is extremely, extremely productive in doing updates. Although they do miss the collegiality and the socialization that usually occurred in the evenings or over supper and stuff like that, the ability to screen share and data specialists or even facilitators that are making the changes as we go, and they can word correct as we go. We've become very efficient. And again, all of the evaluations, although they miss the socialization, definitely feel that this environment is workable, and then takes us out of the summer time period where we can actually kind of do them on a different schedule, or the potential of different schedules.
That's great. And the travel time and away from the office time, I mean, there's got to be major savings and less pressure.
Yeah.
That's great.
One of the things that we did was we just let the Zoom go through lunch. So if they wanted to run to their kitchen, grab their lunch and bring it back to their desktop. So they did have time to communicate, and then some of them had swapped email addresses. So, that collaboration like between East Texas and El Paso can continue after the workshop is through. The only thing, Robin, is I couldn't give them their cookie break in the afternoon. So
oh goodness, we got to figure out a way to
ship them
beam them cookie.
Yeah.
Dr. O'Brien, I don't see where I can raise my hand. I'm sorry if I'm
sure, go ahead, sir.
Since we're looking at the database as a whole, WECM database to clean it up for its courses, are we looking at the database back-end engine, front-end engine to be more advanced, more up-to-date? Is that under consideration also, the platform it's running on?
I'm not quite following your question.
What the database engine itself?
Oh, that's a Dwayne Hiller question. I'm going to refer that one to Dwayne.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think the current version is the most advanced that we are going to get for a while. We're not very high on the priority list of the agency, and that kind of, I guess the idea is if it's working, then it doesn't need to be fixed. So it might take a while before there's any advances to that, but we are working on certain glitches that are still occurring that will make this database as functional as possible.
Wasn't there an update maybe 3 years ago? Is that when we converted?
It started in 2017, And
Okay.
that was when the new version was, right when it was updated.
Okay.
So that's the version we're on now.
I'll add to that. The agency is currently in the middle of a rather large data renovation and modernization project that is going to be a big benefit to the agency, interagency, and we believe to colleges. It's going to have priority until it's completed. At some point, these applications that sit on older platforms like WECM and Perkins will undergo an update. And we are certainly continuing to press for that. But Dwayne is correct that for the time being, it's not a priority project with the agency.
Robin, I have one other question to ask.
Sure. Go ahead, James.
Catherine, when will we, us as the WECM, I know you had all those changes you showed, especially in the IT area. When will we be able to see what specific courses, and will this, I think Robin, do they come in front of the WECM committee for the approval next? Isn't that the next step, or what's the next step? Because I like to see, I'm not on the committee, but I would like to see which courses were added and deleted. And so when will that be kind of the next step for us to see? Is that going to be coming to, I believe it is coming to the WECM.
Okay. This is, you led me right into what the next phase of what we need to address, but can you hold off on that question? I want to just address one more thing and then I'll go there if that's okay, James. Dr. O'Brien, the unmanned vehicle topic, I think that's going to also come up in the local needs special topic report, I think, if I remember correctly, as well as a few others. Do you have time in your calendar to, where do you have time to slip in additional workshops? That was my thought, my question.
When you're ready.
Okay.
We have, like I said, we have 5 facilitators trained now. We have some more that we can, and Robin, one of the things we're doing is when we know that we have a workshop coming up, we roll out an opportunity for facilitators in training. So remember how you shadowed someone. So, we're ready to go.
Right.
Part of it is, and I haven't communicated with Dwayne yet this week, we've got 5 more little workshops that we're going to do this summer.
Okay.
But if we need to carve out some time to do an unmanned one and statewide one, then we'll certainly make ourselves available to assist.
Thank you.
And as far as the schedule goes, unmanned would probably fall under transportation, which is among those 5 that we're currently reviewing.
Good point.
So it might come up this summer or next fall under transportation.
Good point. Based on what you presented, are you making any other recommendations? Do we need to vote on any schedule changes to it, or are we good?
Let me take a look and see. I think, you voted to approve the schedule as it was before, Robin. So the only modification we had to make to it was to shift, just the one, to shift the transportation one down, because we had 5 of those that we would probably be easier to do in the fall. The schedule is not for us. The schedule is for Dwayne, okay? Because we're going to try to get in. And what did I say? We had 190 or 172 IT courses. We had, 17 or so of the other ones. So kind of answering some of James Chigwin, is that how I get it? Okay. In way of doing some of his, it's not on the steering committee or on the teams that are doing the review. Dwayne has to get these into, I want to say, the WECM database by September the 1st. And we could continue to do the workshops with the understanding that the courses might not be available on September the 1st, but could be available, say, January 1st. And for new programs, that January 1st release is probably a better one I would recommend, like for your cybersecurity or for an unmanned, because then that gives any colleges who want to do something with those until September of 2022 to be designing programs, to be rolling out new programs, to be
updating catalogs.
Funding. Yeah, get them in the catalog. Get them on their website. So, you know, if we need to assist with the cybersecurity or with the unmanned vehicles, we could do those sometime. It would be like July, August, but we couldn't get the courses probably available by September.
Right. And that brings up something else, and you led me into it, James led me into it. The next step after these workshops is for these courses to be reviewed by the Course Revision and Archives Subcommittee before it is proposed for a vote to this committee.
Right.
They didn't have that opportunity. And let me read you the protocol that states that for everybody's notice. The Course Revision and Archival Subcommittee is responsible for the review and final recommendation to the WECM Advisory Committee of recommendations of the model workshops or program of study committees. So these were model workshops that go to the committee that Dr. Griffith heads up. Their committee looks at it, verifies it, makes sure that we followed all protocols, that nothing slipped through, and then her committee will recommend that this advisory committee votes on it. That may delay that availability August because we aren't prepared to vote on it today. So that's where we are with this process. Dwayne, do you want to interject anything on that?
Well, a couple things. I guess to clarify, so our next meeting is on September 15th. So they'll be posted on September 16th if they're
okay.
approved.
Perfect.
And then secondly, to answer James' question and anyone else who might have the same question, these courses, the reviews and the changes were included in the email I sent you last Thursday with all that information. So if you check your email, if you didn't get it, let me know and I'll send it again. But all of those, the RTVB, the IT, and the fire science courses were included in zip files in the email that I sent last Thursday.
And if any of you on this committee notice something that needs to be brought to the attention of Dr. Griffith, I'm sure she would appreciate that feedback.
I'm speaking for her here, but very good. Okay. Does anyone need a 5-minute break before we move on? Yes? Okay. Is that okay, Mindy and Dwayne, if we pause for 5 minutes?
I was about to suggest something like that because the next part it's short, but it's pretty intense on looking at the subcommittee reports. So
okay.
Probably need a break before then.
Thank you all very much. We'll be back in about 5. Is that good?
Okay, so I have 11:31. We'll reconvene about 11:36.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Valerie, do you have a slide you can throw up that will show that we're on break?
I'm getting one put up.
Great, thanks. Make sure you, or that we all mute sound.
Okay.
Thanks, James.
For what?
For
What did I?
bringing up the next steps, basically.
Well, I saw the email from Dwayne, but I don't always put everything into context. Like I saw the email. Okay, what was that supposed to address? Now I understand what it's coming to do. So now I got it. So yeah, that's sometimes a little slow like that. Especially when I don't. This is not my 100% thing I do all the time. But yeah, it's still a really good start. Yeah.
Getting text messages here.
Yeah, my apology. I took a call right before we went on break because I recognized the name that was up there, and it's for one of my hierarchy folks here. I sort of needed to respond to that one.
I totally get it, Joe. I get that.
Thank you. Thank you for your understanding.
It happens.
Yeah, there's some you sort of ignore, and then you look at it and go, "Oh, no, that one I don't ignore." Yeah.
Everyone, even though we haven't reconvened yet, I believe audio is still live. So just to make you aware.
Thank you very much, Mindy. I think we're back, right? 11:39. I think we've passed time. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I appreciate the break. I certainly needed it. I don't see Catherine's face, but I do want to thank both her and Leslie for the extensive work that was done. This was great. We haven't had good workshops in quite a while, or I guess workshops that encompassed what we really needed to get done in a quick manner. And y'all stepped up, and I really appreciate it. And I know the field really appreciates this work. So thank you both, and to all the facilitators that helped out. I am very sorry that I was unable to participate because the dates conflicted with some very important meetings that I had at work. Normally I'm right in the middle of all the facilitation, but I just couldn't do it this time. So thank you for everybody that did participate, and we look forward to the information coming forward from the Course Revision and Archival Subcommittee at the next meeting. Thank you. Anything else to add, Dr. O'Brien? And Leslie? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, on to agenda item number 7. Discussion and possible action on recommendations made by the Course Review Subcommittee. Dr. Griffith?
So, Madam Chair, considering the information that was discussed a few minutes ago, I have no further report from the subcommittee.
Thank you very much. We look forward to the report next meeting. Agenda item number 8, discussion of possible action on recommendations made by the WECM Comments Review Subcommittee.
Yes, ma'am. The WECM Comment Subcommittee received and evaluated 17 comments. One comment had previously been addressed by the coordinating board. 5 comments were identified to be addressed by the next scheduled WECM workshops coming up. 4 comments were addressed by a previous IT workshop that was held on June 8th and 9th. 1 comment was in response to TCO increasing academy contact hours to 696. The subcommittee recommends no changes to the law enforcement CJLE courses, since current CJLE courses contain sufficient number of hours available to meet and exceed the 696 TCO hours. 1 comment regarded possible CJLE 1046 human trafficking hour error. Therefore, the subcommittee recommends content specialists to review and compare the WECM non-credit course to TCO non-credit courses for the minimum maximum contact hours, errors, and any corrections. 4 comments regarded welding inconsistency in course titles. Therefore, subcommittee recommends revisions which would keep titles consistent with consistent. The examples are in welding, where shielding metal arc welding, there's an acronym SMAW, small. There's other acronyms, GMAW and GTAL, stands for gas metal arc welding and gas tungsten arc welding. So these acronyms were, some courses have them, some courses didn't. Some of those acronyms were before the course title, some after. So the consistency regarding the course titles and a professional look to those courses in WECM. So that's 16 of the 17. The final was the subcommittee was made aware of courses which had more than one accreditation agency that accredits the courses. So the subcommittee recommends consistency. Therefore, if licensed certification agencies are listed in WECM courses due to the course content preparing students for exams, in instances where there is more than one accreditation agency that accredits that course, so the subcommittee recommends either all agencies should be listed or the licensing certification agency removed from the WECM courses and let colleges list them in their own course descriptions in their catalogs. So as far that's the 17 out of 17. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Rob. You brought up two important recommendations that I think this committee needs to consider. First of all, the listing of each licensing agency. If I remember correctly, in the past, we just indicated that licensure for most of the courses, this was a course that leaded to a licensure or a credential. And I think in some of them, the actual licensure kind of slipped in. And I don't think we were supposed to include that in the course descriptions anywhere. However, I'm asking the committee, is that something we want to embark on and have all these additional requests to add them to our courses, as because sometimes they're more of an advertising tool than a workforce licensure path to a job. Olga, you raised your hand.
Yes, and I'm sorry I cannot use the icon because I couldn't find it. I agree with you, Robin. We agree in the past, I think so, when in the last year or 2 years ago, that we are not going to include license. We are going to show only the fundamentals, and then all the agency for certifications, they can be embedded because the WECM courses is going to be, or the outcomes and the objectives are going to be based in the foundation. That way, everybody can be using a different kind of agency for the stackable credentials. Yeah, we said that one and we vote for that.
Okay, and we've already voted on that one? Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, so did that answer your question, Rob?
Yes, I believe it did.
Wonderful. Thank you, Olga. The other one you mentioned about the consistency in the titles. I think in the past we had given Dwayne authority to make minor revisions to descriptions and titles, and that, I don't know, is this considered a minor revision, or do we need to vote on the fact that we want to have all of these welding courses with consistent titles? What are your thoughts?
During our subcommittee meeting, we identified that we thought they were minor, and then Dwayne could easily fix that and make them all look professional.
Is
Really,
anybody have any concerns with that?
I agree with Rob that we should be minor change, because that's when he showed that some have, one of the courses have TIG, one they have WIP, different kinds of name, but we have to look more professional and to use the proper name for the different kind of techniques that they are using in welding. TIG used to be using in the area in the workforce when they are working, because it's a short name. But I think so we need to be more professional, change the actual professional names to be looking professional syllabus and WECM. I agree with that one. We should do that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Dwayne.
That concludes my report.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. So Dwayne, you have your direction on those. Thank you for working on that. All right. Thank you to the subcommittee, Rob.
Do you think so we should vote to change the names to the welding syllabus of the welding courses?
That's kind of what I was asking, but I think it's a minor change, and we had already given Dwayne the authority through vote to do minor changes. So if this is considered a minor change, I don't know that there's a need for a vote. Mindy, what is your take on that?
Yeah, and to clarify, I think in the protocols it's called administrative change.
Yeah, there you go.
Where it's just like a spelling correction or the position of an acronym in the title.
Right.
Like in this case.
Very good. Okay. So the
And agree,
protocols
requires no vote.
Thank you. All right.
I think you muted, Robin.
Thank you. Special topic local need credit course review. Olga?
Yes, I just wanted to say that we met last week regarding to the special subcommittee. We created a spreadsheet. We have some courses that they were showing today in the list by Olson team. And then we submitted some information today. And I think so, I don't know if Dwayne already compiled all of them, but I think so we have to wait a little bit more maybe for the next meeting. I don't know, what do you think, Dwayne? But I think so we have a really good process right now with all the subcommittee and the committee members. And I wanted to say thank you today. This process has been very smooth and really nice. I don't know if we have already the compiled courses, Dwayne, but you tell us if we can present it, or what are you thinking?
Well, let me just ask, because when Rob was giving his report, was I sharing my screen?
Yes.
And was it showing the WECM comments spreadsheet?
Yes.
And was it showing anything else?
No.
Okay, because on my screen it wasn't. Well, it was hard to see. Okay, so let me get those up.
And this is what I wanted to say, Dr. O'Brien. Thank you so much for the work. It's going to facilitate to us a lot of work, a lot.
Okay, and I guess to Olga's point, so I have I think 3 spreadsheets that we need to go over since they each came in separately and I haven't had time to compile them yet. The first one from Kevin Morris. He was reviewing the NAUT courses, and
Dwayne, we're
again,
seeing the CE one right now.
okay. Is that showing now?
There we go. Thank you.
Oh, hold on just a second.
Oh, wait, yeah.
And is it like very large?
Yes,
text?
yellow.
Yeah. Hold on, I've got too many things up.
That's okay.
Just wanted to switch over. Okay, so is it showing the yellow highlights now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So these are Kevin Morris submitted these recommendations, and they all kind of fall under the same category as recommended for a workshop. And since these are under, it's maritime courses, and they're under the transportation, so these will be reviewed under the transportation cluster. Just checking. He also reviewed a marketing course here. So again, he recommended a new WECM course, I guess, that'll be reviewed at the next workshop. That the current marketing courses are 48 hours or less and do not have a lab component. So that's something I will look into. And so that was these 2 courses. Okay. Also have a report from Mary Adams. She was reviewing the FLMC courses, and there were a couple of special topics and some local need, and these were actually part of they were scheduled to be reviewed with the FLMC courses, with the RTVB courses last month or back in April, but we didn't get enough nominations. During that workshop, they suggested that we hold off this workshop until later in the fall when they got more, well, first that they got the information on the RTVB workshop back to the college. And then second, when they would have more information on these FLMC courses. So there'll be a workshop, I guess will need to be planned for the FLMC courses. Okay, and that was Mary's report. Other than that, and I guess I have a question, Olga submitted this one, and I need to, I guess, clarify from Olga. So you're reviewing the, I guess we just call them the high-tech or technical core programs.
The
and manufacturing, yeah, that's
right.
And so these 2, you had, I guess, no comment, so just leave it as is. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then the same for these special topics. Leave as is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so those are the recommendations so far from, I think that covers all of the courses. When we get them compiled, it'll show all of the courses have an action to take.
So now that there are 3 institutions offering those nautical type courses, the marine, whatever courses, is the recommendation from this subcommittee to recommend a workshop then, since it listed that there? Yes, Olga?
Right.
Yes, right.
Okay, so I believe that will need a vote. Can you call those back up, Dwayne, so that the team can see what they're voting on? I guess Kevin Morris's spreadsheet.
Right. Okay, so these are all the maritime courses, prefix
Not
NAT.
seeing it yet.
Oh, sorry. That second button you always got to push. Okay, is it showing now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So-
just to clarify, San Jacinto College and I think Houston Community College also have courses in this field. And so they will also be invited.
All right. So Leslie and Catherine, can this be added to the upcoming workshops?
Actually, it is already on because the transportation, the ones that were Model 2s are supposed to be done this summer.
That's right.
And Maritime was already on there. So yeah,
Perfect.
they should be pulled in as soon as Dwayne identifies gets the nominations from the colleges. If the colleges are ready to go, we are.
Okay, so really, there's no vote needed because it's just part of that. These local needs and special topics will be reviewed in that workshop, and there'll be recommendations for hopefully new courses at that point. And Dwayne, you mentioned that unmanned vehicles fall under transportation also. So those local needs should come back through there at that point also. So correct?
Right, and I believe those were reviewed at last March meeting. Well, I'll double check on those. We'll follow up on those.
Okay. Yeah, anything from the last meeting too that needs to go to, any of these local needs and special topics will need to go to the individual workshops, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, good. Okay. Thank you, Olga and Dwayne, for that report. Is there anything else?
Well, I would like to say thank you also to the team members because they did an amazing job, Robbie. Thank you so much to everybody. They are a great team.
Awesome. Thank you. On to the CE special topic and locally need courses. Christina, do you have any updates?
We were able to review. We didn't have much. I think it's been really helpful getting them more frequently. So we only had 5 local need courses and I think 17 special topics courses. And because our board is so big, we were able to split that up and get it done fairly quickly. We really only had, we kind of left everything either as a local need, or there was an existing course, or it needed to be left as a special topics course, except for 2, which we could leave, and that was in the special topics, in the local needs courses for the unmanned aerial systems, so for the drones. And so it sounds like that's already gonna, that recommendation is going to happen anyway. So we don't really have anything formal to recommend other than just to leave them as local needs or special topics, or direct them to the actual course that is active in the inventory.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate the work of the TASTE committee on that, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Shaw, the protocols committee. There's a lot here, isn't there?
There is, and really our protocols committee, the protocols that Dwayne sent out with his email and the agenda are really the protocols that we got our first look at the last meeting. So I haven't gotten any other information from anyone on any additional changes to the wording, except for what Dwayne had, I think, noted a couple of small changes with some of the wording that he also included in his email. but it was very small, changing very like on this changing an of to a for, and making some of the committee chair is where it said committee chair, it would say committee chairs and make those plural. So those were the only changes that were any different than what was proposed at the last advisory committee meeting at the first look. So again, I don't know if there's any other discussion or questions about the updates.
Does
I'm just
anybody
going through.
go ahead?
Yes.
I'm just going through to get it kind of on record.
Very good. So did we vote on these changes last time, or we need to vote on them this time?
No, last time was the first reading, so this is need to be voted on.
Perfect.
There's one other document. That might have been already.
Yes, that's the wording that was already put in the protocols with the changes. So I think this is where it was just formed outside of the protocols before we made the changes.
Okay, so that one's already been. So this is the one we're voting on today. It's the new language and the updated language.
Do on this one where it has the workshops, I mean, we always kind of tried to keep the revision dates and a date at the top underneath the word protocol. Will that be added?
This section,
Right.
This protocol section did not exist before. So this
Right.
is an entire new section. So this 050102 is a complete different section. So
Below it, could
yeah.
we put today's date that it was approved? I mean, just so that we have a record of when these things went in, and then the ones above it that have the revised dates, we'll need that added to it, correct?
Right, and those will be added when it's published.
Perfect. Any comments regarding these changes to the protocols? I can't see anybody, so just speak up.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, I mean, we need to have everybody visible when we're voting.
No
Rob,
comment?
did you have a question, sir?
And just a reminder, again, these were also included in the email from last Thursday. So if you're looking over it and think of something after that, we can go ahead and email me and I'll send it to the committee for consideration.
Dwayne, this is Rob Blair. I do have a quick question for you.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused. Are we, you're asking for approval of the protocol revisions that Dwayne sent out, or that were marked up? You are, aren't you?
Yes.
That's correct.
So can you go to page 3? I guess my question is on the WECM comments subcommittee, it still states in there that there's a 3-day response time. I think it's on page 3. It was yesterday. Bottom of page 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay, right there, where the committee members have 3 days to send out comment recommendations, and then the coordinating board answer within 1 week of submission. I was thinking a couple of meetings ago then that was revised to 30 days. Am I thinking incorrectly?
Well, I think we clarified, well, these are probably two different statements that when put together kind of sound strange, but so when it's talked about, it is the goal of THECB to answer all comments within a week. The answer may either be, if it's a minor correction, then we can take care of it. Or if it's referred to the committee, then the response will be, this has been referred to the committee or subcommittee. So that response will come within a week. When I collect these and send them to the subcommittee, whenever that is, and it could be, try to do it at least weekly or bi-weekly. So it might be a couple of weeks after they're submitted. So that's not part of the timeline we're talking about. We're just talking about once the subcommittee receives them, it is, I guess, the intent that within 3 days, they respond to that. So it's not 3 days from when they're submitted, it's 3 days from when you receive them. And I guess the question is that enough time or do you need more time? We can certainly consider that.
And that's what I was thinking that the discussion was about, and I thought, I may be mistaken, but I thought it was revised 30 days. But we can leave it as is and talk about it later on.
Everyone, may I make a suggestion?
Please.
If we're content with leaving this text generally the same, I recommend that we revise the final sentence. It is the goal of THECB to respond to all comments.
Good, good.
Answer sounds as though we're going to give a definitive response.
That's
Respond to just means that we will acknowledge.
I think that's wonderful. Dwayne Shaw, are you in agreement?
Yes, I think that's a better phrasing. I do believe from what we had discussed before, that was the intent. Exactly, Mindy, was that they would get a response that their comment is being addressed in some way. So yes, I agree.
Okay, very good.
This is Andrew Gregory. I sort of, what Dwayne explained as far as the order of operations seems like the last sentence wants to go before things get forwarded to a subcommittee, because some of them are not forwarded to a subcommittee. So it seems like that sentence would go right after the comments submitted to the website will be reviewed by the THECB, and then is the goal of the coordinating board to respond to all comments within 1 week of submission. If review is required, comments will be forwarded to the review subcommittee.
Good point.
And then whatever, if we want 3 days, we want 7 days, whatever.
I like that. I like that. So in other words,
I didn't do it very well. It's you know.
Well, and I guess one consideration I'm thinking is if we put this sentence at the end of this paragraph, it says comments and questions concerning those are addressed on the comments page. And then it is the goal of the THECB to respond to all comments within 1 week.
Yeah.
And then the next paragraph will be comments submitted are sent electronically to all members of the subcommittee.
Yeah.
So
comments requiring review will be submitted via the website instead of electronically to all members. Because some of these are administratively handled, correct?
Well, and I think the point was, and in the previous protocols, when it was the WECM Leadership Committee, all comments were sent to the leadership committee, or in this case, the subcommittee. So all comments are sent to the advisory, to the subcommittee. Those requiring response.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation. I couldn't find the little raise your hand button either. But on the sentence where it says committee members have 3 days to send comment recommendations. Could we change that to business days and or increase it as well? Because, realistically, I think, 3 days for the committee to respond may not be effective.
I agree. Okay. What's your recommendation?
Committee members have maybe 5 business days to send or respond to the comments.
Well, as an example to your point, Mary, the subcommittee this last time around with 17 comments that we received. We responded pretty quickly, but I still don't think that we were able to pull that off in 5 business days. We probably, I don't know, it took at least probably a week or over into the next business week. And we responded pretty quickly.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean that we'll take that long, but if we need the time for whatever a reason, then we'll have time.
Should we word it like we worded the other one, where it's
Goal.
the goal of the committee members is to have a response within a week or something like that? It's kind of the
Yes.
same thing.
That would be good.
What do y'all think?
Goal is good.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
And could you
But we
repeat
need to be
that?
very sure to include business days, because what about this a weekend? And I agree with Mary, we need to include business days. That way that we know it's from Monday to Friday, that's business days, but not the weekend.
How about this language? The committee, committee members. Committee members make every effort, or it is the goal, to respond to comments within 7 business days, and give yourselves plenty of time. Then if you beat that, that's great. But if you need more time, you've got it per the protocols.
So not to be picky, but that then sort of contradicts the goal of the coordinating board to respond to comments within 1 week, because 7 business days is more than a week.
Yeah,
No,
and again, to
the-
clarify, yeah, the THECB response will be either this has been taken care of or this has been referred to the WECM comments review subcommittee. So the THECB response may not be the final solution or the final response, but it'll be at least an acknowledgement that we've received the comment. And I don't know if it would be better just say, we'll acknowledge receipt of all comments.
I think that's appropriate, Dwayne.
Does everyone agree that acknowledge receipt? If someone's speaking, I don't hear anybody.
People are nodding.
Yes.
Okay.
Dwayne, you talking about saying acknowledge receipt of all comments within 1 week of submission?
Let's say that the THECB will acknowledge receipt of all comments within 1 week of submission. I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Okay, and following up on the committee members.
Would it be committee members, or it's the goal of the committee members to send comments within 7 business days or something like that? send comment recommendations? Is that where we were going with this?
Well, can I make a recommendation?
Please.
What if we say 10 business days? And I say that not because we as subcommittee members may or may not get that done, but when it goes to the chair, then they have some work that they have to do, compiling all of that. Then they have to send it to Dwayne, and he has his work to do. So it just seems like if we could go 10 business days, that's kind of a generic statement in the business world.
Okay.
Subcommittee members will make recommendations for comments referred. This is awkward. Within 10 business days.
Can we switch a clause? How about subcommittee members will have 10 business days to finish out?
Good, that's better, Joe.
Is that correct so far?
To submit comment recommendations or to submit recommendations?
We can say to submit comment/recommendations. But I have a question now, because we, in the paragraph before, we have 1 week of the submission. And in this paragraph, we have 10 business days. I think so we should be a little bit more constant if we said 5 business days. You know, that way that we are using the same. Yeah.
I think we're missing the word have down below. It got crossed out. So subcommittee members will, I think, have 10 business days. I think that just needs to be added back in there. Are we happy with this language?
Madam President, before you take a vote, I do need to go back to the workshop page.
Okay.
Can I make one more comment on this? And I'm sorry if I'm being too picky. So we're saying that the subcommittee members will have 10 business days to send comment recommendations. Is that send back to the commenter? Or send them in because someone mentioned that then the committee chair kind of has to compile them and they have to make a decision. Is that all to be part of that 10 business days?
Maybe
that's my assumption.
Maybe send comment recommendations back to the coordinating board, or
we just need to make like subcommittee members would need to get their comments to the chair in fewer than 10 business days so that the chair could compile and then get the response to the coordinating board for response to the commenter within 10 business days. Isn't that the spirit of what we're trying to say?
That's the spirit of it, but I don't know that, I don't know that we have to get into the detail of the chair.
I just want to make sure that we're all clear that that's what we're trying to say.
But I think your point is well taken. Send comment recommendations to whom? Is it to the college that submitted them, or is it to the coordinating board? I think that's a good point to address.
I think the coordinating board.
Yeah, generally it will come to the coordinating board. Then we might even add another one. The coordinating board will respond to the college.
Go ahead.
That's it.
Well, Rob, I don't think you realized what you were opening up.
Just a simple change the number of the days.
My apologies, folks. I experienced a power blip that kicked me off. It took me a moment to get back in. For the
Okay,
record,
Joe.
why I disappeared there.
Thanks, Joe.
And do we want to put a constraint on time here or upon receipt of the comment? Upon receipt of the recommendation?
I think that's how quickly you think you can do it.
How about we just say, this is Andrew Gregory, THECB will then notify submitter of subcommittee recommendations.
Ah,
And don't tie yourself to things.
that's good. That's good.
Under commit and over deliver.
There we go.
Good call. Okay, are we good with this? Should we move on to the workshop page?
Yes, ma'am.
What page is that?
I think it's isn't it the last one where we added that in? Leslie, you wanted to review something there?
Mr. Shaw, I don't know if it's something we want to add or something that needs to come to your committee. The evaluations are also indicating that on preliminary documents, they would like to see frequency data.
Where preliminary documents, that's data.
Sent to the facilitators. Can we make sure they also have, not only that, and do we need to identify what the instructional specialists are receiving prior to the meeting? But either way, frequency data has become a valuable
yes, list
of information that everybody, both the facilitators and the instructional specialists, have indicated. The instructional specialists have indicated they'd like to see that in advance too.
That has always been very, very, very helpful in those workshops. Thank you.
Does that capture?
I think so. Thank you, Dwayne.
On that particular line, that line C, it's just wording, but would it be better to read utilization frequency data of WECM courses? It just keeps from using the same word twice.
That's a good point.
Okay, very good.
One more point here. The very last sentence, it seems oddly worded. Facilitators have team consider the charge. Is there a typo there?
Is it will have team?
We'll have the team? Oh, okay, now I understand. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gretchen.
Okay, and again, this is a new procedure. So we don't really have a POS committee at this point. So is this?
So
we want to leave this
so,
in?
So if there were a new program, Dwayne, there's no longer a POS committee that it would be required to go through to be authorized?
Not at this time.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can take that out then.
And I mean, there really isn't any programs. We wouldn't be initiating a workforce program because we don't have any kind of program of study committees, right, Dwayne?
Right.
Courses out there and a college would develop their own program. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, given that, then do we need to have it read at the workshop, no space, no return, facilitators will, since it's only one sentence now?
See what happened there.
Teams singular or teams plural? Facilitators will have the
teams.
It could be S in parentheses if you want to leave the option open for singular.
Well, and it's each facilitator will have a team. So we can do that.
Well, then would the S after facilitators be the same thing?
Well, that you'd have to do this with workshops too. I recommend for simplicity's sake that it simply be left singular.
Okay.
And if a facilitator has multiple teams, each team will still need to do these things.
Okay.
So let's say that again.
I recommend that we just leave everything except facilitators in the singular. If a facilitator should happen to have multiple teams, those same requirements will pertain to each team. So I don't know that we need to have that S there. It will violate nothing if we don't have that S there. It will make it explicit if we do, but I think it's okay not to have it. If it requires that we put the parenthesis S after workshops and facilitators too.
Yeah.
Okay. So could you repeat the simple?
You're just gonna
Get rid of the
remove the S from
parenthesis
teams.
S.
Yes. There you are.
Make team singular again.
And you want it to be their team or the team?
How about this? Let's say facilitators will have teams and just keep it at that. And a workshop can have more than one group of teams. Let's just do that.
That works.
Okay.
Okay. If there's no other changes, do we have a motion?
Did Gretchen have another, did you have your hand up again?
Oh, I couldn't see.
Nope, sorry, I already,
Okay,
sorry about that. I forgot to lower.
that's okay.
So Dwayne Shaw, are you presenting the protocols for?
Yes, I'll make a motion. This is Andrew Gregory. I make a motion that we approve the protocols as revised.
Thank you, Andrew.
Tom Cox, I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for all the work, Dwayne Shaw and Dwayne Hiller. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. Wow. We're at number 11, discussion of future meetings. When did we have one already booked last time, planned out?
And our next meeting is September 15th.
Okay. We typically do the one after that, correct?
Right. And that's
And-
usually in December or January. Depending on the advisory committee or the committee's preference.
So
Last year it was the December 10th.
So I'm sorry, Dwayne. Like I said, I don't have a hand, but are we still doing these going to be face to face, or are we still going to do these virtual? What's the status of coming back to Austin or not? Long term for meetings.
We're still not clear on that, but I think at a minimum we would have a hybrid where if we are open, and if you are able to drive to Austin, we can have a group of people live in the boardroom, and then we can also have a hybrid version. So we'd have online capability. And again, hasn't been vetted. That idea hasn't been vetted yet, but we will certainly let you know before, at least a week before. No, in plenty of time if we need to make travel arrangements.
Wonderful.
So is it possible to have these on Fridays or no?
That's perfectly allowable if that's the desire.
I don't know about other people's teaching responsibilities, but if it's going to be face to face, getting away from teaching is problematic.
Andrew,
Colleges
this is
closed on Friday.
That's true during the summer.
Andrew, I'm a teaching faculty and I make the sacrifice to come down. So, I mean, it's your opinion in Europe to do, and I'm not going to tell you one way or another, but I take the time off to make the committee because it's important to me. So if it's on a Tuesday or a Friday, so be it. So.
Yeah, you must have great subs that you don't lose contact time.
And different colleges' policies on faculty time and committee service would probably apply to this as well.
Okay. So for point of reference, in December, the 8th and the 15th are on a Wednesday, and the 10th and the 17th are on a Friday.
Well, personally, I would prefer not the 17th because that'll be the last day before everybody kind of heads off for the most part to
That's right. 17th.
holiday break. Personally, I have college graduation on December 10th. I don't know about you all.
We have also graduation.
Same here.
We probably will too.
How about the 8th and make it virtual?
You could consider Friday, December 3rd, or Wednesday, the 8th.
I hear the discussion about graduations. My question is, when do courses end?
I think that kind of varies.
December 10th for us.
Yeah.
Us too.
My concern is, I don't know what your world is like, but if it's the last day of class, it gets a little weird sometimes.
Yeah.
I think Mindy's recommendation for the 3rd is a better one, at least for people that are,
Does anybody have any issues with December 3rd?
No, not if we're going to be able to choose. It is 7 hours for me.
Yeah.
And wonderful on Zoom. I think it's great. And I would look at this as an extended lunchtime for me. So we start at 10. It's not even 1 o'clock. It's 12:30. So it's much more doable this way.
I agree.
Okay. Well, I guess, do we need a vote? I think December 3rd is okay with everybody. Is the following after September 15th, we would do December 3rd. 10 to whatever, how long it takes us. Sound good?
Sounds good. I'm motion December 3rd.
Very good. Okay, then. Before we adjourn, I did want to give special thanks to the service of Cindy Kasparis and Troy DeFreitas. They were members and are members until the next meeting, but this would be their last meeting of service. Neither one happened to be here today, but I did want to reach out and say that we really appreciate their time on the WECM committee and publicly thank them for their time, their service.
Let me speak as well. I want to thank Dr. Robin Garrett for agreeing to serve as committee chair upon Dr. Joyce Williams' resignation last year. Robin, you have long-time experience with WECM Advisory Committee, WECM Leadership Committee. You've been a leader in this state for CTE and for WECM. And you have provided a steady hand and good insight in every aspect of this committee's operation since you took the chairmanship. Please join me, everybody, with a little thanks for Robin.
Thank y'all so much. I will be handing the reins over at the next meeting to Olga, and look forward to that transition, believe me.
And I wanted to say something, Robin. I will be looking for your support because, I mean, you're amazing. You know a lot. Your acknowledgement is invaluable. And I will be looking for you and Mindy to guide me. This is a new endeavor for me. And thank you.
Oh, thank you all. I appreciate the warmth. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Olga. It's been an honor to step in and serve and hopefully continue to serve this committee moving forward.
Dr. Garrett.
Yes.
Before you adjourn, I would like to ask a question for clarity, and it's really kind of for the grant also.
Yes.
But since I'm coming from ex officio into a advisory board member, when will committees and all of that be determined? Because I suspect we don't want a gap between now and September 1, but I just need some clarity on when all of that will be decided.
Well, the people that are rolling off, Cindy and Troy, they actually are still a member until the next committee. So at the next meeting, we will, if there's a gap, we will reassign positions at that meeting when the new members become official. Does that answer your question? Good. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn? Thank you all so much. It's been Greg, did you have to agree?
No, I have a tendency to just to wave goodbye, not to say anything. It was a great meeting. It's the first time I've joined the meeting. I'm excited about the future.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the process and the committee. You've given great input already. That's good, wonderful.
I want to give my final thanks to members of this committee, all of you. And that includes our ex officio members too. This has been an eventful year.
Yes.
It's a testimony to your commitment and your willingness to serve in the state leadership capacity that WECM Advisory Committee has arrived at this successful conclusion of a year that I think we were all happy and are happy to be putting behind us as we begin AY22. I want to thank Leslie Olson and Catherine O'Brien as well for their leadership on the WECM Renovation project. We are restoring several years of lapse in the maintenance process this way, and it is going to durably move us forward significantly. Yes. So in closing, I say a great big thank you to each and every one of you.
Thank you. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved. 2nd. 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 2nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Valerie. And Dwayne.
Okay. Talk to you later.